in 2001, a group primarily made up of Seattle-based businessmen and women came together with Wally and I to establish the Basketball Club of Seattle.
The chairman and CEO of Starbucks says he has an obligation to try and fix what's broken in America.
Fix what's broken in America? With all due respect, Charlie Rose, the chairman and CEO of Starbucks has an obligation to fix what he broke in Seattle, Washington first.
Howard Schultz has been doing just that since we spoke with him a couple months ago. Today he's announcing a new line of coffee and other products to benefit his Create Job for USA fund. He joins us now from Seattle. Good morning.
First of all, as I said in my previous video, of all the days of 2012, Howard Dutch Schultz has a lot of nerve to come on national TV with Key Arena in the background. June 12th, the day the NBA Finals start in Oklahoma City.
Good morning, Charlie. How are you?
So let me give a shout out to the CBS affiliate in Seattle, Cairo TV, please. In fact, in the words of Winston Wolfe, pretty please, with sugar on top. Don't ever let the worst Seattle team owner in Seattle sports history sit in front of Seattle Center ever again.
I'm good. It's a bit early in Seattle. Tell us why you're doing this.
An early Seattle morning, yes, but 6 years almost to the month that Howard Dutch Schultz sold out Seattle, sold out the Northwest region, and sold the Sonics down the river to the OK Corral crew. So yeah, why are you doing this?
Well, I think as we've discussed in the past, we're sitting in a situation in America where 14 million people are unemployed.
Are you counting the ones throughout the Northwest region who are still unemployed as a result of the economic impact you created? Or are you leaving those numbers out?
I think we all know that there's something wrong in terms of the self-esteem of people who have lost jobs.
Are you talking about people who had jobs and no longer do? Or are you talking about people who cause people to lose their jobs?
And we're asking ourselves at Starbucks, how can we use our scale for good, given the fact that it's obvious to me and many others that in the election cycle we're now in, that Washington is not going to do much.
Are you talking about D.C. or Washington State, which didn't do much for you when you morphed the worst lease deal in the NBA into, I need $200 million from Washington?
To help those people who can't help themselves.
Well, now, if you're talking about Washington State, you could have helped yourself. In fact, you had an ownership group of 58 multimillionaires with some billionaires sprinkled in and couldn't figure out a way to help yourselves and put together $200 million.
We found a small town in East Liverpool who at one point was the bedrock of America in terms of manufacturing.
You mean like the Key Arena was the bedrock for the Seattle Supersonics? Or are you talking about some other kind of bedrock?
We found out that their manufacturing jobs in America are down to 9 million. In 1979, we had 30 million manufacturing jobs. We asked ourselves, could we make this product in America as opposed to overseas? It's more money.
What do you mean more money? Like more money that out-of-town owners offered you for the Seattle Sonics that you said you refused since you wanted the team to stay in Seattle? Or are you talking about the $150 million more that you made from your 5-year plan that culminated in you selling the Sonics to an owner that took them to Oklahoma City?
But in doing so, we put a plant back to work. We hired more people. Now we're manufacturing this product. East Liverpool was a town that was kind of left for dead.
Have you been to the Queen Anne neighborhood in Seattle lately that you left for dead?
Unfortunately, it's emblematic of many towns. It's a town that has 25% of its people under the poverty line, double-digit unemployment. We just said we can't leave this town and not do something.
And let me give a shout out to Liverpool then. If you ever hear these words from Howard Schultz's mouth, steward of the public trust, the gig is up. Got it? Everything is cool until you hear those words, okay?
Let's start a manufacturing facility and let's.
And how many jobs have you created? How many jobs have you created?
About 25 from 2. And this is on top of the fact that we have created thousands of jobs over the last year.
Let's see. 6 years ago, you probably put about, let's just use your words, fair enough? Thousands out of work. And let's subtract those from the thousands you just mentioned. I don't get it. Why are you on CBS this morning? This morning?
In terms of the money we've raised to give money to small businesses who do not have access to credit. And then we just announced a new manufacturing facility that we're building in Augusta, Georgia, that will employ about 200 people.
Howard, is your message to corporate America, because, you know, economists tell us that corporate America is sitting on a lot of cash. They're not investing it. They're not going out and hiring new people to build their own inventory. Is your message to say, spend that money now so you can create jobs and build new factories and hire more people?
Or is your message, which, by the way, is falling on deaf ears in Seattle, especially among the realer than real deal Holyfield Green and Gold Sonic fans, is your message, I want the other 49 states to think I'm a swell guy since I'm reviled in Seattle for the worst 5-year plan in the history of 5-year plans?
Well, my message is the following. We as business people and as business leaders cannot and should not wait for Washington to solve the problem.
There you go, confusing me again. Why do you keep saying you can't wait for Washington to solve the problem? The Oklahoma City Thunder are playing in the NBA Finals as a result of the NBA Commissioner David Stern holding your hand in front of the Washington legislature to help you solve a problem of your own making. That being not making the worst lease deal in the NBA at Key Arena the top priority before you bought the Seattle Supersonics, so you could have leverage with the city of Seattle to renegotiate. Once you blew that, there was only one option in your mind. Go to Washington to help you solve your problem.
It's obvious to me and many others that's not going to happen. So we have a dog in this fight. We must do something. And I think corporate America must recognize that we must not only look at the bottom line, but balance profitability with our core responsibility to invest back in the United States of America and bring people back to work.
Now I see why you're on TV the day the Oklahoma City Thunder start playing for the NBA title. You're trying to spin the new arena deal so you can look out your window at Starbucks Soto headquarters and see all the workers who wouldn't be working if you hadn't sold the Sonics 6 years ago. And then once the arena is completed in Soto, you can look out from any Starbucks headquarters window and with that smug look on your face, see it every day and feel vindicated. No wonder I call you Howard Schultz, because that's seriously what you call a gangster move. Blow up the Lower Queen Anne neighborhood so all the action can eventually move to your neighborhood and you can take credit for bringing people back to work.
Two other questions before we leave you this morning. Number one is the Seattle Sonics are now in Oklahoma City.
Did you see that smug look? That's the one I was talking about. That's the look Howard Schultz will have as he gazes at an arena in his Soto neighborhood, feeling completely vindicated that the only way it could have possibly come about was for him to turn down higher offers for the Sonics, sell to Clay Bennett, fake like he was suing Clay Bennett, and then wait until the day he could look out the window and smugly say to anyone who will listen, see, I told you so. Look closely.
Two other questions before we leave you this morning. Number one is the Seattle Sonics are now in Oklahoma City. They're now in the NBA Finals, which begins this evening. Kevin Durant and LeBron James. Are you sorry you let them slip away and you sold them?
Listen, I wish the NBA well, and I wish Oklahoma City well. I'm not here to talk about basketball, Charlie. I'm here to talk about the biggest problem facing America, and that is 14 million people are unemployed, many Hispanics and African Americans, and business leaders need to do more.
Now watch how that smug look comes back at the end of the sentence when he thinks he's off the hook.
I'm not here to talk about basketball, Charlie. I'm here to talk about the biggest problem facing America, and that is 14 million people are unemployed. Many Hispanics and African Americans, and business leaders need to do more.
How many companies have you got to follow your lead?
You know, I don't know exactly. We got over 150 people, CEOs in America, to sign the pledge to suspend contributions to incumbents. But, you know, I'm not here to solicit other companies to do something. I'm just here to demonstrate that Starbucks has had a record year. And one of the reasons we've had a record year is our consumer and our customers recognize the values of the company, not just about the bottom line, that we're doing the right thing to help America as well as help our customers.
What if the worst sports owner in Seattle history could only feel redemption for his role with Key Arena by outbidding everyone else, so that an arena in his Soto neighborhood where the Starbucks headquarters is a fixture was called Starbucks Arena?
But shouldn't you be soliciting other corporations and encouraging them? Because you just said earlier in this conversation that Washington is not doing it, and it's up to the private sector to do it. So, you know, how much can Starbucks do, and how much can other companies do? And why aren't you out there proselytizing them and urging them and following up to make sure that it happens?
Because corporate America knows what we all know. Howard Dutch Schultz blew up the Seattle Supersonics with the supersonic boom and left an economic hole in his own city, and has yet to make amends of any kind. Hell, he couldn't even address it in the slightest when Charlie Rose asked him directly.
Well, I think, you know, you giving me the opportunity this morning to speak about this is one of the things I'm trying to do. I think many companies are doing the right thing. You were right before by saying that there's about $2 trillion sitting overseas that should be repatriated and come back to the U.S. But here's what I'm saying. It's very simple. We all have a sense that the country is going in the wrong direction. We can't wait for Washington and the level of ideology.
I thought you were talking about D.C. there, but then you said level of ideology, so now I'm convinced you're talking about Washington State, since you and David Stern arrogantly went down to the legislature with the ideology of the Mariners and Seahawks got deals, therefore give me $200 million.
We can't wait for Washington and the level of ideology that is going on to saddle the country with a direction that we know is wrong. As a result of that, private citizens must recognize this is an opportunity to embrace citizenship over partisanship.
You thought Washington owed it to you to help. So you're confusing me here.
Our love of the game of basketball and our collective desire to retain the NBA Seattle Supersonics and the WNBA Storm basketball teams for the city of Seattle and the entire Northwest region brought our group together and culminated in our purchase of these great basketball franchises.